Sneakers and Cleats, the podcast.
Welcome back to the Sneakers Cleats podcast. It is Thursday, October 9th. This is episode 233. Chuck and I are going to get this quick because we're freezing in this room.
Yeah, and you're not dressed appropriately.
No,
Usually, you had a sweatshirt on the other day or
Yeah.
some sort of pullover, which was very, very wise.
I'm also tired, and my body gets more cold easily when I'm tired. I did the morning show today, so I've been up since 2:30, and that was after. I shouldn't be asked to do the morning show when there's a good quad box on my YouTube TV the night before. I couldn't separate myself from the disastrous UTEP Liberty game because I'm that much of a degenerate sports fan where I'll watch anything.
So did you?
WNBA last night.
You?
I did.
That was a hell of a game
Caitlin
last
Clark?
night.
And it got close.
I know.
Yeah.
Asia Wilson's a stud.
Yeah.
But anyway, there was
She's her.
Yeah, she's her. Hockey on last night. There was playoff baseball on last night. There was a Spurs game that we're going to talk about here last night, and there was NCAA football. Even though Montana State and Middle Tennessee State, I think I was one of 4 people watching that game.
Yeah. So
bad
I'm
football.
guessing the reason why you were watching was because you had some action on that game last night.
No, I'm just a degenerate sports
college.
fan.
Okay.
I just love watching football. I did have the under, which hit, but besides
Okay,
that,
but you did have
you were
action
right.
on it.
You were
Okay.
right. But I also would have watched it even if I didn't.
Okay, that's fair.
But yes, I think UTEP actually set football back 47 years. Malachi Nelson might be the worst quarterback I've ever seen in my life.
They're building something there.
Okay, building. They had one first down in the first half. Anyway, subscribe to the YouTube channel News 4 Fox SA. Download, rate, review the podcast version wherever you get your podcasts. We're going to talk Spurs today, Cowboys, and we have our TNL preview. The Spurs won their second preseason game. They're 2-0 since we last spoke on Monday about this black and silver scrimmage. They beat Miami last night in their first NBA preseason game. They played the
Whatever that was.
I'm not gonna say I think it was the Loon Lions. They beat the Lions. We'll just say on Monday in San Antonio, the Chinese team. So we'll talk about what we've learned from Victor and the Spurs through 2 preseason games, plus the Cowboys. Cowboys are they closer to a good team or a bad team? Because I honestly I don't know. They are
They have the number 1 offense in the NFL.
and they have the number
I'm not going to go there because I didn't
3
look it up.
defense, 3 bad defense.
Okay.
So, we'll see if they can turn the corner into some positive and use this positive momentum after the Jets game to beat the Panthers, and then we'll see what happens from there. If they beat the Panthers, they'll be 3-2-1, sitting pretty with some problems in Philadelphia. So, but they do have a laundry list of injuries. I think that was one of the longest injury reports I've ever seen from the Cowboys or any NFL team when that one came out yesterday. So, also go through, as is tradition, the TNL Top 10 for this week, Week 7 in the high school football ranks here in San Antonio, plus our Week 7 TNL matchup. Judson versus Steele is tonight. Always a good matchup between those 2 teams. Already Week 7 of high school football. That's kind of
It is
sad.
hard to believe.
Sad. I feel like I look forward to this every year, and now it's just blinking. It's almost over.
Yep. Rinse and repeat, right?
Yeah. 233 is not an area code. It's a country code. Do you want to guess?
No.
Ghana.
Really?
Yeah, Ghana is the country code
Okay.
for 233. So we'll talk Spurs first. So they're 2-0 now in the preseason. They beat the Miami Heat last night, 112-107. Competitive game throughout the entire thing. I watched probably the first 3 quarters of it before I took that one off of my quad box on the TV and put something else in there when I think it was when the Dodger game started. I thought they played decently. It looked like something is very evident with this team in the preseason. It's that they're being more physical and trying to play better defense. That's something that I've noticed throughout both of those games is that they're not going to be out physicaled. And Miami's a team that'll kick you in the teeth. They always have been, especially under Coach Spo. When you don't have superior talent that they haven't had since the Big Three left in the early 2000s or early 2010s, obviously when they won the 2 championships, the Spurs beat them in 2014. They don't have that kind of upper end talent now, so they're always that kind of gritty team. We're going to beat you with by just grinding it out every game, and so they're one of the most physical teams in the NBA. And I thought that Wemby got pushed around a little bit early in that game yesterday, and then kind of got his footing. He was like, this is what it's like to be hit again. This is, you can kind of see that light bulb click on about halfway through the second quarter.
Yeah, there were some takeaways with him for me were, to your point, yes. And then it was a little sloppy with the ball sometimes. And
Really sloppy.
okay, Bob said
Bob
it.
says really sloppy.
It had to be said. But let's go another direction. We gave the appropriate flowers, I think, to Victor bulking up or gaining girth during the offseason. How about Keldon Johnson?
Yeah.
Like, where's slender, sleek Keldon Johnson and, this move to become a more of a slasher, blah, blah, blah. Well, he, I think, turned into that, but he, too, looks like he put on some freaking jackness as well.
Well,
he looked really good last night.
We saw throughout the offseason him training with much more in the boxing ring than he was on the NBA court. Like he was trying to kind of train his body in a different way. And we saw him training with David Cardenas. We saw him training with a couple of other boxers here in San Antonio. And it's not something you see all the time. And it's a different muscle group. It's a different kind of weight that you're putting on. It's different muscles that you're using. And so it looks like that really helped him.
Yeah, I mean, how many times did we see him last night put his shoulder down and basically say, get the F out of my way?
Yeah.
I mean, it was noticeable last night. I mean, you're small sample size, a game, right? But very impressive. And there was just like I don't know, it's not body language, but it was like there was like almost like an aura around him that there was a plan. The plan was for him to do this and involve others as well. I don't know. I just was very impressed with what it stood out to me, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, still no De'Aaron Fox last night. Still no Dylan Harper. Still no Jeremy Sohan. Devin Vassell did make his on-court return, which was good to see. It looked like he has put on a little bit of weight as well, but also I loved his effort on defense. I think Devin can be a top 10 defender in the league if he really, really wants to be. And I think that now that they're getting in that buy-in from Sweeney, the assistant head coach, and they're getting the buy-in from everybody else from the top down, from Wemby and Coach Mitch Johnson all the way down, you're starting to see guys like, we have that potential to be that great defensive team. So I liked what I saw from Devin last night. The other guy that I really liked what I saw was Julian Champagnie.
Yeah.
Julian if he shoots like that all year, watch out, man. I mean, he's going to demand playing time if he keeps shooting the lights out like he did last night.
Another guy that stood out to me last night, and it's always rinse and repeat, is 40. Harrison Barnes, The game is too easy for him in terms of what he sees, what is needed at the time, whether it's scoring or passing. He sees the floor in an uncanny way, and it's not like others see the floor. Is really damn good.
You know what?
And he plays well with others. It doesn't matter who the heck's on the court, man. This guy, it's really something to behold, and what a treat it is to watch that guy play basketball. Like, there's not any one thing about his game that's going to wow you. It's the quality of who he is as a guy on the court and all of his gifts. He just gets it.
Let's hear from Mitch Johnson and how he thought the game went last night.
I thought tonight, obviously we played with some lineups and combinations that we have not practiced with. There was at times we were left wanting for more in terms of some of the execution and the turnovers, and I thought our competitive response a few times was really, really good. And from the guys that started the second half all the way to the group that finished the game, I thought we had a really good variety of competitive response amongst the group, and that was nice to see. And I think that obviously is on the defensive end and rebounding specifically.
Preseason for the camera guys as well. That was
right.
But speaking of the lineups that started last night, the starting lineup last night was interesting. Keldon, Devin, Julian, Wemby, and Harrison. You didn't have a true point guard, and maybe that's because both of their true point guards were hurt. Steph Castle didn't play last night either, so all of their starting point guards were not on the floor. But I think this is the time to experiment, right? It's when when the games don't count, but they do matter. And I thought that there was a lot of things that did matter last night in terms of the effort that they put forth. But you also see that the guys that everyone's floating around in trade rumors, everybody that potentially could be traded for Giannis or people of that nature, the Devin Vassell's, the Keldons, the Harrison Barneses, those guys are tuning all of that out, and those guys are the ones that I was most impressed with last night. Wemby's going to be Wemby. Wemby's going to gain his size. He's going to get his 20, 10, and 10. He's going to be phenomenal. He's going to get his 5 blocks a game or whatever it is, but it's the Keldons, it's the Devins, it's the Harrisons that you're going to need those 10 to 15 points a game from. Maybe somebody to come out of nowhere and score a 25-point game and play great defense and put your shoulder into somebody and be the enforcers on that side when Wemby is off the floor. You need all those guys to step up, and so those are the ones that I was most impressed with and have been throughout the first 2 games.
A lot of guys stepping up last night. I mean, Flagler.
Yeah, he looked good.
Real good, right?
I don't know if he'll make the roster, but he could make the practice squad.
I think he will. I mean,
Austin.
at some point, because, I mean, this is a guy that was in OKC, had a hard time getting on the court there, but obviously no shame there with the deep roster that they have. Really flashed, made some plays. Will there be minutes for guys like that? And the Summer League hero, taking over the game last night again.
He's going to make the roster.
Another guy that looks the part every time they play him, right? How much more do you need to see that this guy sure looks the part?
Yeah, he's going to mess around and make a roster on opening day, especially because there's going to be 2 open spots, especially in that first game. If Dillon doesn't play and if De'Aaron Fox doesn't play, De'Aaron Fox obviously is probably trending more towards November 1st. They think they've mentioned that Dillon might be ready by the first game of the season, but we'll see. But there's a spot open there, and so we'll see which guys are the ones that come up and come down from Austin more often. It sounds like DJG and Flagler have that potential.
I know I'm supposed to be here to talk about what people are saying in the comments, but I have a couple of comments myself.
All right, let's hear it.
Man, what's his name? Jones Garcia?
Yeah.
He just stands out. Every time he's on the court, he's
playing well.
Out. And then there was I didn't even know who number 17 was. Stanley Umudi?
Yeah, it's a San Antonio kid.
He looks good. He looks like he belongs on the floor. He had some really good basketball moves. He was moving fast and had great side-to-side athleticism. I was really impressed by that kid.
Amudier.
All right, from the comments, though, Tom said something that you'll probably get to later.
Hi, Tom.
Hello, Tom.
Robert Smith said the troubling trend I'm seeing is Victor's ball handling needs to improve. I see defenders going after his dribble a lot now. Very concerned here. And Tom had a comment saying, I wish Wemby would stop jumping for up fakes when the other player is flat-footed. He's going to get hurt.
Fair. Another guy that I think that a lot of people have seen kind of jump off the screen, figuratively, is Carter Bryant.
Yeah.
Carter Bryant has played extremely well over the first 2 weeks or 2 games. One thing that he needs to improve on is his three-point shooting. He still hasn't shot the ball very well so far in his first 2 games, and that's one thing that they are going to be relying on him as kind of that 3-and-D guy if he does end up making the roster. But I don't know if after 3 more games and after the practices that they're seeing through training camp, if you can keep him off of the opening day roster. I don't know if he belongs in Austin anymore. And I think there was a time this summer when we were like, yeah, he's going to be in Austin so we can get some playing time. He still might, but I think he spends more time with the pro club.
Yeah, I think the sentiment this summer was that he wouldn't be in Austin. I don't know. It's going to be hard with all of the guys that have been in the program. To me, like I pointed out the other night, he made a layup. He's underneath the cup.
Yeah.
And then he beat everybody's ass down the floor and almost made a play on the other end to reject a layup. He didn't. But the fact that he wasn't even running full speed and can cut the court, you can see this man's gifts are more vast than just him running down the court, right? He can jump, he can shoot, he can do all these things. But I think right now the game might be a little bit, which you would expect. He's 19 years old, playing in the NBA. The game might be a tick too quick for him right now. What will benefit Carter Bryant a lot, dude, is playing. Like, and he's not going to play a lot right now, so there will be a lot of benefit from him playing in Austin and playing with other guys that are similar to him in age and, in terms of, trying to make that leap to being a guy in the NBA that can contribute.
Yeah. I mean, here's what I don't know, because I'm not a scout and I'm not a developmental coach in the NBA, is do 12 to 15 minutes with the San Antonio Spurs do as much for his development as 30 minutes with the Austin Spurs do? And that's just what I don't know. Like, because he probably would carve that out, 10 to 15 minutes a game with the San Antonio Spurs if he's playing good defense and if he's giving all the effort that he can, which every indication is that he will. If he's shooting the ball a little bit better, he can probably carve out a good little role with the Spurs. But is 35 minutes a game with the Austin Spurs going to do more for his development? That's what they're really thinking about.
So, yes, I think what you're saying is apt. The problem is that you can't be like kicking the tires on a player in an NBA game for 12 to 13 minutes a night. Games would be won and lost if somebody is not ready to play. It's like you have to see these things in practice, preseason games, every single day for you to go, okay, this player, regardless of where they've drafted him, has earned the right to get on the court and play with these other guys that have also had to go through a similar route to get to where they were in order to play.
Well, it just depends on where what they're prioritizing. If they can think that he's ready to play 10 to 15 minutes in the NBA, but will that benefit him or will that benefit the team as long-term as him playing in Austin for 30 to 35 minutes? I mean, they can think that he's an NBA player right now and still have him in Austin.
Yes.
So that's the thing. It's
Yes.
like, I don't know what benefits him the most, but I would love to see him with the Spurs because I think that he brings the true kind of grit to a team that is trying to get grittier, if that makes any sense.
100%.
I also want to talk about this. A little bit earlier this week, we saw Coach Popovich back at practice. Didn't see him walking around or anything like that. There was a cane next to him. He was visibly moving better, according to people that were there, according to our photog Jack Green as well, who saw him. He was kind of talking to Jeremy. He was kind of talking to Carter Bryant. He was speaking to a few of the players right behind where Wemby was shooting during shoot around. So it was good. It was good to see him healthy and moving around and there at practice, still kind of talking to players and being around the game that he's devoted his entire life to. And the second thing about that is he is still such a benefit to players like a Carter Bryant and Jeremy and this entire young team. And that's before his stroke. That's why he said he kept coaching, is because it made him feel young again. It made him want to continue to coach, being around these young guys. And this is what Carter Bryant had to say when asked about his conversation with Coach Pop.
Being able to see him, like, have him in my presence and be in his presence and understand, like, I can go walk and sit down next to him and he knows who I am and he's going to try to do everything in his power to give me knowledge when I ask. He walked on the court, was like, I want you to focus on these things, like, if you do this, you're going to be good. So just having him is a beautiful thing. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful to have a powerful basketball mind like him.
Chuck, what can Coach Pop do, and how important is it for him to still be around these young players as they move forward?
Dude, I mean, it's an invaluable dearth of knowledge that's available. It's like having the Library of Congress for basketball right there if you're a young player. I mean, the one thing that was really cool that Pop did all through the decades while he was here was he would bring coaching legends in for days, weeks, whatever. I mean, we had John Wooden here for practices, and you're thinking, what a cool thing, or what a cool resource for a player to, all these coaches, all these legends have all these things that they've achieved, obviously, but they've all gone about it pretty much in different ways, right? So what are the nuanced things that a guy like Carter Bryant can learn from Pop, who's been there, done that, pretty much seen it all, right? Just like Pop would bring in a John Wooden, like if you aspire to be great, why wouldn't you want to be able to pull in some of these resources? Yeah, to have Pop there every single day for these young guys and old guys, young coaches. It's a benefit afforded very few organizations for sure.
Yeah, I mean, he's El Jefe. I mean, he's never not going to be around. I think there was some speculation, and including from me, that they would just kind of appoint him to a role, and this would be the role that he had, and he can be there as much or as little as he wants, and we might never see Pop again, and we don't know. I mean, it's all about him and his health and what he can handle right now anyway. But I think Don told us a couple of months ago, knowing Pop and covering Pop as much as he has and as much as you have, like, he can't keep himself away even if he wanted to.
Yeah.
So he'll be there as much as he can, and that can only be a good thing
100%.
for the entire organization, for Mitch, as he continues to learn how to coach and learn how to be an NBA head coach and a successful one at that. Why not lean on the GOAT that I'll hit the table when I want, Luis. Luis keeps telling me to stop doing this because it's coming through on the mics.
You and Brian Schottenheimer.
Me and
right?
Brian both, yeah. But they can only be an invaluable asset. So,
By the way, Brian Schottenheimer press conferences are amazing. You just
yeah. Speaking of Brian Schottenheimer and the Dallas Cowboys, Bob, anything on the Spurs before we move on? Anything else?
Anuki says depends on how Carter's picking up the offense and defense. If he's not, Austin is better. If he is, SA is better. Pretty much agreeing with you guys.
Fair enough. All right, let's move on to the Cowboys.
good take, dude.
So the Cowboys.
We agree.
The Cowboys
Get some
are
backup.
playing the Panthers this weekend in Carolina. They are 3.5-point road favorites over the Carolina Panthers. Over/unders 49.5. I'm still skeptical. On the Super, it says, can you turn skeptics into believers? If they dominate the Panthers like they did against the Jets, I will start to believe a little bit more in this Cowboys team. But right now, I need to see the defense put 2 decent weeks together. And with the injury report that looks the way it does, I'm not sure that they can. And the Panthers came back and played a decent game. Yes, it was a bad Miami team. It is a bad Miami team that they came back against. But you can't take anything away from Carolina, who does play better at home than they do on the road anyway.
Yeah, they snuck out a win, and again, well earned in the NFL. You know, although
It's hard to win games in the NFL.
It darn sure is, right? So props to them. They're moving upwards, and maybe has everything to do with Smithson Valley's very own Trayvon Merrick signing there during the offseason. We'll have to say that was definitely a positive and the step in the right direction.
Definitely hurt the Raiders.
So with that in mind, it'll be another test for the Cowboys. And to your earlier point about whether they're good or bad, I mean, obviously it's hard to know at 2-2-1 where we are after 5 games with these guys. But I think by and large, I'd have to say they're pretty damn good. I mean, given the fact that, okay, they're a 500 team. They've had a lot of challenges early on in the season, and the fact that they could have the #1 offense in the NFL with all those dudes hurt.
And they've played good defenses. It's not like they've played the Titans every week. You know, they did it against Green Bay, who has a really
Tennessee's
good defense.
defense is okay.
I mean, the Eagles have a good defense. They did it against them week 1. They fell apart in the second half, but they did it against them week 1. The Giants have an okay defense, and they've played well against the Giants. They scored 40 points against the Giants. Green Bay has a really good defense. They scored 40 against Green Bay. They're doing this on offense against teams that are no slouches, and they're doing it with a completely hampered personnel department. I mean, you're missing 4 offensive linemen last week, no problem. You're missing Kevontae Turpin, no problem. You're missing CeeDee Lamb since week 2, no problem. Like, you're just, how many more guys can you lose at this point? As long as you have Javonte, I guess, and as long as you have 4, I think you're fine at this point, because it seems like there's only 2 people they need to operate.
Well, you know, they've taken a lot of hits here lately, probably rightfully so, for some of their draft picks that haven't quite gone the way that they'd hoped, given where they were drafted. But when you got Ryan Flournoys of the world that are stepping up, that can give you 6 catches and over 100 yards, and, you know, James coming out of nowhere to lead the team in tackles last week. I mean, who are these guys, right? I mean, James Houston has been unbelievable when he's been given an opportunity to play, to show that he is a playmaker. Maris Leofau, when he's been given an opportunity to play, seems to make something good happen. All of these guys, you know, it's just amazing how they're literally hamming and egging it right now. And they're, you know, 500 is, you'd say, treading water at this point, but they haven't buried themselves, right? You're not looking at 0-5 to begin the year. And, you know, it was nice of the Eagles to give one back thanks to your squad this week. So, you know, things get a little tighter, and I would say things are trending in the right direction for the Cowboys. I mean,
next 4 weeks, you got the Panthers this week. It's not a must win, but it would go a long way to shutting some people up, I think, when it comes to doubting how good the Cowboys are. I don't know how good the Cowboys are. I don't even think the Cowboys know how good they are, because they haven't had a full team since week 1. Even week 1, they haven't really had a full team. So Deron Bland and Trayvon Diggs are finally coming back. We'll see what they look like when they're fully healthy and not on pitch counts and not being punished by the coaching staff. So we'll see how this defense looks when they have DeMarvion Overshown back and they have all these guys back that they've already been missing. I mean, but you have the Panthers this week. You have Washington next week. It's a division game. That'll be really tough at home. And then you have to go to Denver, and Denver has proved that they're a very good team. I mean, they beat the Eagles this week in a game that nobody thought that Denver could win. And so we'll see if they can go to Denver and win that game. That's going to be really tough against one of the best defenses in the league. And then you have the Cardinals on Sunday night. So if you can get out of that stretch 4-1, I think that's a success. And I think you'll start to turn some heads and like, oh, okay, these guys aren't the doormats that they looked like they might be for the first couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's fascinating, right? This early part of the season that there are very few teams that you go, okay, you can look at that team, I mean, maybe the Jets is the example because they haven't won a game. They're out of it. Everybody else is kind of, I see some things that I really, really like. There's some things that I don't. What is this going to look like a month from now, 2 months from now, right? There's so much football left to be played. I think every fan base, for the most part, is still pretty engaged that maybe there's something here, and maybe you're looking kind of side-eyed at some of it, but you're not completely thumbing your nose and looking the other direction on your squad right now.
Yeah, I mean, like I've said all week, you can only take so much from a win against the Jets because, as Scott Van Pelt would say, the Jets are the mayors of Poop Town. They are so bad.
Pretty good.
They're so
I
bad.
like that.
So bad.
Yes, they are.
And watch them beat the Broncos on Sunday in London.
Wouldn't that be something?
I would cry. That would just destroy my whole day. That happens at 8:30 here. If they lose, like,
Believe
as
me.
somebody who
Believe
just
me.
as somebody whose team just lost in London,
Man, it ruins a Sunday.
Yeah, especially as well
I
as their
really started
defense
watching
playing.
football. Look forward to Sunday. I'm like,
especially losing the way the Browns lost.
Yeah.
It's like, what'd you?
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
gonna pound the tables, Luis. Only got a week
Luis
left.
is the mayor of Tabletown.
Anyway, all right, let's get to some TNL. So,
Yeah.
let's get some high school football. Week 7 of the high school football season here in Texas. We'll go over our TNL 10 for this week and also our TNL matchup of the week, which is Steele versus their rival, the Judson Rockets. So we'll kind of rocket through, pun intended, some of these here and stop me whenever you have something to interject.
Might be redundant because our poll looks exactly pretty similar to last week.
Almost the exact same. Harlan is 5-0, 3-0 in district. They defeated Marshall 45-7 last week. They take on Holmes, so they'll probably be 6-0. The Hawks have outscored their district opponents so far this year 131-28. And that's some of the teams in their district aren't very good, but they beat Brennan, and that score's roped in there as well. So that's pretty impressive. Johnson 5-0, 2-0 in district. They beat Roosevelt 48-13 last week. They have the Stone Oak Super Bowl this week against Reagan. So Stone Oak bragging rights, 7:30 Friday game, regular season winning streak as they head into this game. New Braunfels is number 3 in our TNL top 10 poll, 5-0, 2-0 in district. They play Bernie Champions, 7 p.m. Friday, Bernie ISD Stadium. The Unicorns, who have only allowed 10 points in 2 district games, will finally play a team that is kind of a worthy opponent this week, which is nice. Smithson Valley, number 4 in our TNL top 10 poll. Those two are on for a collision course for later this season. New Braunfels and Smithson Valley, which is going to be really entertaining. The Rangers are 15-2 all-time against Wagner, and that's who their opponent is this weekend, 7 p.m. Friday, Rutledge Stadium. Brennan just has the one loss to Harlan, and they took out all their frustrations on O'Connor last week. 67-7 was the final score against O'Connor last Friday night, or actually I think that was last Saturday. They play Marshall this week. Marshall is down bad this year, so that is what it is. They'll play Saturday, 2 p.m. at Gus. The Bears allowed only 100 yards and 6 first downs last week against O'Connor. So I think Harlan pissed him off.
It's possible.
It's pretty possible.
It's possible.
Steele is number 6 in our TNL top 10 poll. They're 5-1, 2-0 in district. Luis, can you take the single shot full, please? 5-1, 2-0 in district. They defeated East Central 49-zip last week. They played Judson. We'll talk about that game a little bit more later. The Knights are back in the Associated Press Class 6A state rankings at number 23 now, following that shutout last week. Clark, where we can talk a little bit about this. Clark and Churchill in the Gucci Bowl had a hell of a game, last week. They beat Churchill 28-21. They were down 21-0 at halftime, came all the way back to win. One of the best plays we've seen all season by Caleb Rond, and you and Don did a great job calling that up in the booth.
Yeah, Don in particular, he nailed that one for sure.
I mean, it was phenomenal. Caleb Rond and Churchill were really good in the first half. And Coach told me at halftime, he was like, we were up 21-7 to Reagan last year, and we ended up losing 24-21. So we don't want that to happen again. And sure enough, it happened yet again. They lost 28-21 to Clark after a wild second half.
Yeah, and hats off to both teams, right? The Cardiac Cougs have been doing this all year, and they find ways to win. There's something to be said about that, right? And well-earned, too, I mean, with that performance in the second half. And then shout out to Churchill. I mean, I know we brought it up in the broadcast, but you go into a game with 8-9 players that you're counting on out.
Yeah.
That's a tough road to overcome, but it just goes to show you the job that everybody's doing over there at Churchill, hanging in there and, doing the best they can. Sometimes when you don't have everything at your disposal that you'd like to have.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, hats off to Churchill, but more hats off to Clark and Coach Geist over there, who are now 5-0, 2-0 in district, and still number 7 in our TNL top 10 poll. Southwest is 5-0, 3-0 in district. They had their first shutout of the season last week against Southside. They won 33-0. They play South San, which should be a pretty good game this Friday, tomorrow. 7:30 at Dragon Stadium. Bernie, 4-1, 1-0 in district. They had a bye last week. They play Harlandale, 7 p.m. at Harlandale Memorial Stadium on Friday. They're 3-0 against Harlandale all time. They've met 4 times. One of the game was canceled because of persistent lightning in the first half, so they called the game in 2019.
Who knew? Who knew?
I knew.
Okay. Glad somebody
You
did.
know now.
I
And-
know. I'll soon to forget, though.
Yes. That's fair.
Yeah.
Alamo Heights, 5-1, 1-1 in district. They lost their only loss coming to Bernie a couple of weeks ago. They defeated Harlandale 42-20 last week. They play Victoria West, who is the only undefeated team in Bernie and Alamo Heights' district. Victoria West is 6-0. The Mules are 3-0 against them all time. So let's get to our TNL top 10 or TNL matchup of the week. Judson versus Steele, one of the best rivalries in the area. Steele is up 10-4, I think, all time in that rivalry. It's tonight, 7 p.m., Lenhoff Stadium over on CWSA. Let's talk about Steele first because we did not get to catch up with Coach Mark Soto this week. But we did catch up with Coach David Sines over at Steele. Their only loss of the season is to Westlake. And the story coming in on Steele this year was, they lost all this talent on the offense. They're rebuilding. Steele doesn't rebuild right now. So they're not, I would venture to guess, not just as good. Venture to say, not venture to guess, not as good as they were last year, but at this point in the season. But they have all the potential to get to be as good as they were last year by the end of this year.
I don't think there's any question about it. I'm like you. I mean, when you talk about a team as good as they were last year, that's replacing 12 or 13 starters from last year's team.
And not just 12 or 13 starters, but Royal Capel and Jalen Cooper are 2 of the best
the
receivers in the entire area.
Yeah.
Chad Warner, who is now at UTEP, who
Yep.
I crapped on UTEP a little earlier, but that's nothing to sneeze at going to UTEP on a full ride. Chad Warner's over there. They still have Jonathan Hatton, who is going to decommitted from Oklahoma, now going to Texas A&M. I mean, they had a lot of guys leave.
Okay, so
Superstars.
but here's what they also have other things going on. We'll roll some of this out more tonight, but dude, they got a defensive back / safety that's 6'3", 200 pounds, and has offers from Michigan, Ohio State, Texas, A&M. He's an underclassman.
Is that good?
So, yes. So, with that in mind, and I guess we can take it a little further than maybe you actually wanted to. But so,
take
like
it wherever you wanna go,
yesterday when I
Trev.
was talking to Coach Sines, it's like I wanted to get him to try to talk about himself. It's like, I mean, his regular season record is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, it's 80 plus something up and only like 20 something down. I mean, it's amazing what he's done to sustain the excellence over there at Steele. He's been with the school since 2007, and I think he got the head job in 2017. But it's like, dude, look, there's been so many good players. A lot of schools have good players. There has to be something more you can tell me about Why does this keep happening? Why do you have all of these dudes? And he broke it down simply like this, because no matter how many times I asked the question or rephrased, he would not talk about himself or the job that his staff has done over there, raising these people or these kids into 4 and 5 stars. And he said back in the day when Malcolm Brown and that crew was there, our best players at the time were the hardest working kids on the team. And even the middle school kids saw the middle school kids that were coming up, the Malcolm Browns of the world, and how they worked. And then if you want to be great like Malcolm Brown, that you got to work like Malcolm Brown. Like, this stuff doesn't happen. And even if you work like Malcolm Brown, doesn't mean that you're going to end up being Malcolm Brown and having an 8-9 year career in the NFL. But because they've had so many guys like that over time, where their best players were their hardest workers, their most solid citizens, that I hate to use the word culture because I don't want Coach Gutierrez at Jay to come smack me upside the head, but the ecosystem that they've cultivated there has sustained itself over the years, where their dudes have been the hardest workers, the Caden Stearns of the world, that even the middle school kids now are seeing what these guys are doing. And so it's literally been almost 20 years of this, and that's why they keep producing these specimens, for lack of a better term. And it's really, really fascinating to hear him kind of pitch it that way, even though obviously there's more to it than that.
Let's hear what he said to Jack Green a little bit earlier this week.
Great start, not only to district, but for lack of a better term, for the entire season. It's what's working so well for you guys right now?
Right now we're just, coming together, as a team, offensively, defensively, and special teams. And, they seem to be picking up anytime we're trying to replace 9 guys on offense and we had to replace 4 or 5 on defense. It can be a little bit of work in progress getting those puzzle pieces together, but they've come together, pretty well these last couple of weeks, and we're just excited about the way that, we're playing in all 3 phases so far.
Did they all kind of come together a little faster than maybe even what you kind of thought? Did they gel because of the summer programs? What led to them gelling as quickly as they did?
Yeah, we knew we had the pieces, were there. They just hadn't, been out on Friday night yet to show what they could do. We knew we had guys that were, chopping at the bit to get their opportunity. And, they've come in and done a great job of, whether it's film study or sitting down with their position coaches and things like that. And it just, just playing at a high level. And, I think a lot of them were just waiting for their chance. And, now that they have their chance, they're taking advantage of it and running with it.
You're no stranger to this. You've done this on TNL quite a few times. It's what is that moment like for the entire Steel Night community, the band, the pep squad, to get showcased for all the South Texas to see?
Yeah, it's awesome. We love it. We love when Thursday Night Lights comes, and is able to broadcast, not only for our football team, but like you mentioned with the whole entire, Thursday night experience or Friday night experience, whether it's the band, the cheer, ROTC, it's just a great atmosphere, and it's great for our district too to showcase all the great things that we have going on at the SEUC, whether it's in fine arts or in athletics.
But let's not give away any secrets, but it was like this is a Judson team that can be extremely dangerous because their win-loss record doesn't show it, but there's an awful lot of really great athletes, and if they don't take care of their business, your guys can be in for a little bit more of a dogfight than probably what people would think. What are going to be some of those keys to victory?
Yeah, of course. We told our guys, we just got through meeting with them this morning, and it's a rivalry, and you throw out. It doesn't matter what the records are. It doesn't matter. What happened up to this point. We better be ready to play for 4 quarters. Coach Soto does a great job in all 3 phases, and they've had some tight games that could have gone either way that they played so far this year. So we got to make sure that we're prepared, and we got to take care of the football on offense, eliminate our pre-snap penalties on offense, and on defensively we got to just continue to fly around and not give up a big play and make them have to drive the field if they're going to try to get in the end zone.
On the other side of things, Coach Mark Soto and the Judson Rockets, 2-3 this year, 1-1 so far in district. They started off the season about as rough as possible on TNL. 45-7 is what they lost to Johnson. Coach Soto always has his guys ready, but I think even he would say that they're not playing as well as he expects them to.
Well, that's always the case, right? I mean, Mark Soto is a very demanding coach and a damn good coach. And, he's trying to do the best he can with, a younger team. And I think for me, the bottom line for all this tonight is it's Judson and it's Steele. So Steele's going to get Judson's best efforts tonight.
They always do.
They always do. And then on top of that, both of these teams are combined 3-0 in league play. What's it, 29-6A, right? So, you know, if you don't want to be playing from behind in this playoff chase, you've got to have this game tonight. So there's a lot of extra sauce on this one tonight. And, you know, we're getting down to the nitty-gritty where teams are going to either, A, say that they're playoff teams or start to make their move and separate themselves from those that aren't going to make the playoffs. And so we're going to have a good old-fashioned backyard brawl tonight. I can almost guarantee it.
Yeah, and this is one of those games where it could be a measuring stick for Coach Soto and his team. How good do you think you are, and how good are you? I mean, we heard from Coach Soto before the season say, I expect this team to make the playoffs and win multiple games in the playoffs, go multiple rounds in the playoffs. Okay, this is who you're going to have to play in the playoffs. It's teams like Steele.
Sure.
So let's see. Let's see how good you are. And so we'll find that out tonight. Anyway, it's always great between Judson and Steele. They started their matchups really in 2010. They had an intense double OT win by Steele on a 2-point try, and the games are always for playoff positioning or district titles, two teams that have won state titles in the past. So it's always the allure of these two teams in this game every year is great.
That, and if you're just the casual high school fan too, it's always fun to turn on a TV and see multiple 4-stars and a 5-star tonight too.
Exactly. One quick thing before we get out of here. Bob, do you want to read Tom's message?
Tom said, "Hello, boys.
Hello, Tom.
I heard about the transfer portal taking place."
Oh, I thought that was like inter-office memo. Are we allowed to talk about that or at the risk of being fired if we talk about it?
About
You
the
put it on
transfer.
your social, didn't you?
Yeah, I put it out already.
Oh, snap. I'm calling HR.
Oh, she knows.
She's invited.
She's invited.
That's how you solve every problem, right? You want to make sure that everything stays on the down low. Invite HR to all the parties.
So next Thursday will be my last podcast on Sneakers and Cleats. My last day at News 4, Fox SA, and Sinclair San Antonio is next Friday. I am getting out of the industry, and if anyone follows me on Twitter or Facebook, you already knew that. So we'll have more thank yous and goodbyes next Thursday, but just FYI. We will also talk about the future of this podcast next Thursday. We'll probably working on getting some things ironed out. So, yeah, we'll figure all that out. But it's been fun, and we still got a couple left.
Matt, it's been a real pleasure getting to know you over these last few weeks that you've worked here.
Yeah, a few weeks.
Man, I want to tell you something, man.
Yeah, you're very good, dude.
Are the driving force behind this podcast. I don't know if people probably realize that out there, but I mean, you make it happen, and
100%.
You have impressed me with that.
I appreciate that, but it doesn't happen without everybody in this room, plus Des upstairs, and Javier and Don and everybody else. So 33 of these things. We're going to get to 235 with me at the helm, and then we'll see what happens after that. But that's all we got for you today. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. As always, remember to download, rate, review, subscribe. Give us a 5-star rating, tell a friend, and please tell an enemy. We will be back on Monday. We'll see you then.